Hi everyone and welcome to Hedgehog Hollow. Today, following our Facebook Live, I wanted to share with you about Turnabout stamps. So Turnabouts are unique to Concord and 9th. There was one in their April release and there's two in their May release. And I have all three here to show you. And the idea is that you can stamp them once, twice, 3 or 4 times, each time going a quarter turn. Using your Misti. They're designed to work with a Misti to build up a pattern. So there's one with triangles, there's one with spots, and there's one with highs, hellos, that kind of thing. So I'm going to show you all three, and I'm also going to show you some tips of how to use them, because whilst they're designed to work with a square piece of card, you do not have to have a square piece to make it work. Hi Mary. So I'm going to switch you over to my desk view. I'm going to take you through some tips that I've got for having prepared this for you, and how you can use any size piece of card, any shape piece that you might want to use your turnabout on, and it will always work for you. So let's switch you over. So I'm going to bring you out towards me here, and I'm trying to find the button that switches the camera over, and I'm going to put you down onto my desk here. So that should give you a good view there, and we'll move some cables out the way because there we go. So these are Turnabout stamps. So as I said, this was the first one that they did. This was the triangle Turnabout. And if I turn this over, you can see you can stamp it once, twice, 3 or 4 times. And I'll get to in a moment exactly how we do that. They're designed to work with your Misti, as I said previously. This is the May one. So we have a dots that are 1, 2, 3 or 4 times. And we have the Oh Hello, which I started prepping earlier. It's 1, 2, 3 or 4 times. So I'm going to do 4 just to show you the 4 different ways you can do it. And I've prepped this one ready. So I'm going to show you how we get prepped first of all. So you're going to need a Misti, and I recommend getting the original or memory size. These do not fit in the mini Misti. What I've done here is I've taken a tip off the My Sweet Petunia video of having this triangle piece of cardstock. And what you want to do is I cut a 6x6 piece, and I use the Stampin' Up! Extra thick white, which I think is 110 pounds, so something a little bit weightier than normal, just because I want this to stand up. And rather than having to have one for every single Turnabout stamp, I've just made one and I've laminated it. I cut a slither around. My paper trimmer has a very nice marker that makes just over somewhere between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch even piece here. I've used a Sharpie to go corner to corner, so this is your center here, and then I've read about the tip of putting arrows on so you always turn in the same direction and you don't forget what you're doing. So that's the first prep that we need, is a piece like this in our Misti. And we also need to prep the stamp, and this is something new for the May release. This wasn't in the original release, but we can edit our stamps to work. So on the back piece here, there's something you need to line your stamp up on. Now we want to peel off the top printed piece. So not the piece that we're going to stamp up, this is the top of the stamp, the piece, oops, that sticks to the Misti. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn it until it fits perfectly over this image here. So we're going to line this up. So this is a perfect match. So this fits here and these 3 fit here. So you're looking for this open hole to be in that top corner. I've got my metal ruler here. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw over this diagonal line here. So I'm trying to look down on it without getting my head in the video. And we're going to use a Sharpie to mark that line onto our stamp. And we're going to do the same in the other diagonal. So again, excuse if my head comes in, but I just want to make sure that we're putting it in the right place. There we go. So we now have those lines drawn on the back of our stamp. And I did exactly the same thing on this one earlier. So I've already done this on my high and my hello. So I'm going to move this to the side for now. And the next thing I am going to do is I am going to just make sure that you can still see me because it's disappeared off my computer screen. And just tidy that up for you. Excuse the mess around my desk. We're in the middle of doing a few things for Maddie's science project. So I'm a little bit overzealous. So what I do is I take some of my temporary dot adhesive and I just put a couple of pieces on the back. This is the Teflon mat that I already cut down in my Misti, and if you missed that, that's on the our YouTube channel there. And I'm just going to stick that to my Teflon mat so it doesn't pop up on me. And I've got one of the Misti corners just on the point here so that it sits down nicely on there. And rather than using a square piece of cardstock, I'm going to use a card front size piece of cardstock. Again, I'm going to put a little bit of temporary adhesive on there as well. And I'm just going to stick that. You can stick it anywhere. It could be here, it could be there. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to try and centre it as best as I can. And what we want to do... Oh, sorry, my mistake. We need to put the stamp on first. See, I am still learning these as well. What we're going to do is first of all, we need to stick our stamp on. So our stamp lines, those Sharpie lines we put, need to line up with the lines on our bottom piece. So like this. Then we can close the lid of our Misti and pick up our stamp. And I'm just going to make sure, it doesn't matter if it comes up, we can peel it back off, like so. And I'm just going to put it back down again. Now the reason I use this temporary adhesive is it's great. It will not mark my cardstock, it will not tear, it is absolutely amazing. And I will link it all up in below, and overnight I will link up a blog post for you as well. So if you are looking for any of the items, I will link them up at the most cost-effective prices we can, because we all want the most for our crafty budgets. And then what I'm going to do is I've got these Waffle Flower Colour Story ink pads that I've had for a while. I've only used a couple of colours, so I thought we would use some of the others. So first of all, we're going to ink up our stamp. And this is the Chirp Chirp, so it's a lovely shade of green. And I'm going to ink it all over because it's absolutely fine. And I haven't preconditioned this stamp or anything, so we'll see what kind of impression we get. And then I'm going to stamp it down. Of course, the advantage with the Misti is if you don't get the best impression first time, is we can stamp it over and over. So I'm going to just do that a second time. And we'll press down. So that is our one. So you could leave it just as having stamped it once, but we're going to do the full 4 today. So I'm going to just clean this off. This is a stamp chamois, and again, this is all on our YouTube channel of what they are and how to use them, and also how to clean one. If you've got one and you think it might need a little bit of a clean, you can check out that video too. So next up, I'm going to use Happy Go Lucky, which is a lovely pink colour. And before we stamp it out, we need to turn this 1/4 turn. Now my arrows tell me to turn it clockwise, so I'm going to turn it clockwise like this. And I'm just going to press back down in the middle so that it sticks. And we can ink up our stamp again. And that is all you need to do to get the next part of your image. And of course, it's stamping on my laminated piece, so at the end I can just wipe it off. I'll show you that too. So again, I'm going to stamp down. And I'm going to do it a second time as well, just because I want that really nice strong impression. And what I will do when I do the blog post is I will take this panel and I will make it into a card to give you some ideas of how you could stamp piece and create a card with it. So that's your second go. So again, you could just leave it or you can keep going. I'm going to clean off my stamp with my chamois. And we want to do another 1/4 turn. So I'm going this way, I'm going clockwise. And this is why I love the arrows, because I could quite easily forget which way I'm going. And I'm going to press that down, and I just use my Misti corner just to hold it in place as well. Then for the third time, I'm going to use the yellow, which is You Said What. And they're a lovely ink pad to work with. They're from Waffle Flower. And here we go. And I'm going to stamp it down. And let's see if we need to do it. I'm going to do just a second time, just in case, a little few patches in that hello that I'd like to just touch up. But this is the beauty beauty of the Misti, if you haven't already got one or seen them before, is you can just keep stamping over and over. It's great for doing rainbows or just touching up your work like this. So this is the third time, and now I'm going to do the fourth in black. So let's clean that off. So again, I'm going to rotate another 90 degrees. I'm going to stick my piece down and use my corner just to hold it in as well. And for this, I'm going to just firm it up with some black just to add some depth, because I'm going to add a black sentiment as well later. So again, we can just stamp that down. And I'm just going to touch it up as well. When I do a black piece, I really like it to be a nice strong black, so I often end up doing it a couple of times. I really like how you can build up all of this. So you can see there, so I've built up this lovely piece. Now all I have to do is I'm just going to gently, I just kind of twizzle it, and that brings up your piece. So that's your finished piece for your card front. And as I said, I will up and show you a card idea in the link blog post, which will come out overnight. And then this is what's left behind. So on the all the other videos I've watched, people have used a piece of cardstock, had one for each one, but you then have to keep replacing it because of using your adhesive. Not something I particularly want to do, is to keep cutting this and ruling it. So what I suggest is this laminated piece, and what I'm looking for is my adhesive rubber. So I'm going to take that, I can just put it over the center, and that's going to take pretty much all of it off. And then I'm going to take my stamp chamois that's getting a little bit dry, just going to spritz some water on it, and we can wipe off our ink. If it gets particularly dirty, I would use an alcohol wipe over it, but this on the whole would be absolutely fine. And then what I would do is I would put this in my stamping toolkit drawer. You could put it in the packet with your Turnabout if you just had one, or one maybe that you reach from one of others, and you can use it with any of those Turnabout stamps. So if you had the spots, you again would just line up this piece like this. We could peel this off and then stick it to the lid of our Misti and start stamping, and you build up those dots. With the original, you don't have that cross piece, because it was, I think it was something that someone maybe discovered afterwards. So what I suggest you do if you have this one is we can, so I'm peeling off the unprinted piece. This is the unprinted, and I'm going to stick it down onto here, and I'm just going to center it as much as I can. But what I found was this triangle right here, you will find lines up really nicely with the point in the cross. Your triangle here will have the line dissecting straight through it, and your two like bow ties here, the line will go straight through the middle, and these two bow ties, again, your line should go straight through the middle of where they meet. So there's a few things there you can line up, and you can then use it in exactly the same way as we have done with these newer versions. You could even, once you now have it lined up, just do it once, and then I could grab my ruler, which I've put to the side somewhere here, and we could draw those lines on. So I know that it wants to dissect exactly. Would help if I took the acetate off, of course. Let's take that off. Oh, and these are super sticky. There we go. So let's just line that back up again. So we want that point on there, that through there, and that through there. So that's lined up how I'd want it to be. And again, I can then, of course my ruler is sticking to it all over the place, but that's fine. I can then put a line in each direction, and then it's really easy to line up. So that just gives you your two dissecting points. So that's how you then line up the older one that doesn't have that little guide on the back there. So remember that your points here, this one wants to touch your middle, this one you just want to slit straight through it, and your two bow ties, you want your line to go straight through the middle of those as well. So I hope you found this useful. Thanks for joining us here at Hedgehog Hollow, and we'll see you again soon. Happy stamping. Bye.